All right, let's dive right in. Today we're going deep into the world of Unleash the Archer's masterpiece, Apex. And I'm telling you, this is so much more than just an album. It's a full-blown psychological journey, a map of the hero's quest into the self. So let's get into it. You know, for so many people who really get this album, it's not just something you listen to, it's something you experience. It's this incredible transformative piece of art. Because the story it tells, well, it mirrors the kinds of struggles we all go through, whether we even realize it or not. So where does a journey like this even begin? Well, Apex is actually the start of a cycle, a loop. This is step one of what you could call the soul diver's journey, and it all kicks off with a single moment, an awakening. Our hero, who we call the Immortal, wakes up here, in the Witch's Forge, and it's described as this suffocating embrace, which is just perfect. Because this place is a total paradox. It's a prison, for sure, but it's also a safe haven. Think of it like the walls we build around ourselves to feel protected. They feel safe, they feel comfortable, but they're also what's holding us back from who we're meant to be. Okay, so you've woken up, you're aware, but that's just the beginning. Imagine suddenly realizing you've been living in a cage your whole life. I mean, it's completely disorienting. You're technically free, but you're also totally lost. And that's exactly when you need a guide. And man, this one line from the album just nails that feeling. That moment of vulnerability when your whole world has shifted. You see things clearly for the first time, but you have absolutely no idea what to do next. It's this massive, confusing change, and you just can't navigate it on your own. And that brings us to the Shadow Guide. Now, this guide isn't some friendly, comforting figure. No. It's more like a raven, leading you straight into what's called shadow work. And that's the really difficult process of facing all the parts of yourself you've pushed down and ignored. It forces you to confront some really uncomfortable truths. But by doing that, it's actually leading you back to who you really are. So where does this shadow guide lead our Immortal? Straight into the lion's den. It leads him to the central figure, the antagonist of our story, the one who's going to set him on his path, the Matriarch. So who is she? Well, on one level, she's this fearsome, dark goddess, a general in this internal war. But psychologically, the Matriarch is the living embodiment of your own anger. I mean, think about it. Anger can feel protective, right? But it can also become super toxic. It's often just a mask we wear to cover up our fears and our vulnerabilities. And more than anything, it's terrified of its own death, of losing control. And this incarnation of anger gives the Immortal his mission, and it is a brutal one. The quest is simple. Find her 4 sons and cleanse the bloodlines. Her motivation here is absolutely key. The Matriarch is convinced she has to sacrifice her sons to stay alive, to make sure her rule never ever ends. That's the voice of our own anger, right? It tells us we need it to survive, that if we let it go, we'll be weak and vulnerable. So this quest to hunt down her 4 sons, this isn't some literal physical war. It's what the album calls a never-ending war, and it's fought completely inside your own mind. It's a war against the self. And that brings us to the absolute core of this conflict, ego death. So what is that? It's the process of dismantling the false self, all those parts of your personality, your beliefs, the stories you tell yourself, the things you think define you, but are actually just keeping you prisoner. It's a painful process, but it's absolutely necessary. And these 4 sons, they each represent a specific piece of that false self that has to be destroyed. First up is the coward's way, where the Immortal has to take down that part of himself that lies and runs from fear. Then he has to tear down the false walls of the ego, the comforting illusions we build. Next, he faces 10,000 against 1, which is all about overcoming those addictive patterns and behaviors that our psyche defends so fiercely. And finally, maybe the hardest part, is Earth and Ashes, where you have to shed even the parts of yourself you like if they're still holding you back from your true self. But through this whole insane ordeal, the Immortal shows this incredible, unwavering resolve. And that really illustrates the raw power of the true self. The idea is that our true nature can be buried, it can be suppressed, but it can never, ever be truly destroyed. So, okay, he did it. He fought and defeated all 4 sons. He purged all these toxic parts of his ego. The war should be over. He should be free. But is he? Is he really? And this, my friends, is the massive twist of the entire album. The victory is an illusion. Instead of finding freedom, the Immortal realizes he is completely and utterly trapped. He won all the battles, but in the end, he lost the war. So why? How did that happen? Because in his fight, he gave all of his power away to his anger, to the Matriarch. He let her drive him, and now he feels betrayed because the freedom she promised never arrived. He's just stuck in a loop, fighting the same internal war over and over and over again. And this reveals the fundamental truth of the whole thing. The Matriarch, our anger, our fear, it has no real power of its own. It's a parasite. It only has the power that we give it. It needs the Immortal to believe in its authority because his belief is literally her lifeblood. So when you pull back and look at the whole journey of Apex, you see it's not a straight line. It's a circle. The Immortal awakens, he gets his quest, he fights this huge war against himself, only to get stuck by giving his power away. And where does that lead him? Right back to the beginning, dormant once again in the Witch's Forge. So the loop is complete. It's a cycle of struggle that ends, for now, in failure. But that's not the end of the whole story, just this chapter. And it leaves us with this incredibly powerful question, not just for the Immortal, but for every single one of us. If you're stuck in a loop like this, what are you going to do differently the next time you awaken?